Forgiveness doesn't work. It's a really big subject that I'm tackling today, and it's one that I have explored for the last 25 years. And having been a victim of sexual, physical, emotional abuse, uh, so many things, this is something I've looked at really deeply and I've really worked hard on. So I'm going to tell you in this video 3 reasons why forgiveness doesn't work. I'm going to give you a different way to look at forgiveness, because there are practices related to forgiveness that actually do work. And I am going to also tell you what you can do to release a very painful past so that you can heal in mind, body, and soul, just like I did and just like I've done for my clients for the last 20 years. I'm Dr. Meg Haworth, and I'm a doctor of transpersonal psychology, which is holistic psychology. I look at the entire system, mental, emotional, physical, and energetic/spiritual, to help people heal their entire lives, heal their bodies, and become whole again, especially after abuse and betrayals and all kinds of difficult experiences that we go through that require forgiveness practices. So the first reason I'm going to go with is that, I think there's multiple reasons why forgiveness doesn't work, and I'd love to hear yours, so please put those in the comments below. Please feel free to email me and just tell me what your experience has been with forgiveness, because I'd really like to know. And if you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications for future videos. And check out my channel, because there's a lot of other interrelated videos here on holistic healing. All right, so reason number 1 is people see forgiveness as a religious concept, and they're really turned off by that. I grew up in the Episcopal Church, and I got to tell you, I was really turned off. I'm still turned off by the religious idea of forgiveness. And I think a lot of that has to do with forgiveness is just something that you suddenly do, is sort of how it makes you feel. And that's just not the truth at all. It isn't. I mean, it can happen in an instant, but it usually happens after you've done a lot of work, inner work on yourself, in order to get to that place. And it's also the concept that it's something you do for someone else. And that's not it either. And the idea that if you just tell God that, hey, you know what, I'm sorry for this thing, or if you just tell your friend or your lover or your spouse or your coworker, hey, I'm just sorry for this thing, and you don't say anything more than that you're just suddenly forgiven because you said you were sorry. It's just not enough. There needs to be more introspection that goes along with that. So because it's become a religious concept, a lot of people are really turned off by it, especially when you see things like wars still going on because of religion being one of the root causes of why that's happening. People arguing over all kinds of moral issues that they're looking at as religious issues. So this goes really deep, and I could go on and on about this, but I think that's one of the key reasons is when you see it as a religious concept, that concept tells you that you need to do it with the other person. And that brings me to my next second reason why forgiveness doesn't work is you think that forgiveness is something you have to do with the person who did something awful to you. And so that would mean that if you're a sexual abuse survivor like I am, you have to go sit in front of that person and say, I forgive you for what you did to me. And that is absolutely not necessary at all. And I'm going to get to details about what can work, because that going to somebody and it's almost like you're saying, hey, it's okay what you did to me. It's okay you did this really heinous act and it totally ruined my life and took my innocence. Like, that's not okay, and that's never going to be okay. And we need to be okay with that. You know, you don't have to sit with the person and tell them that you forgive them. That's really a misnomer. The third reason why forgiveness doesn't work is that you think forgiveness is something that you do for someone else. you're not doing this act for someone else. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it to give yourself the freedom from this experience of everything that you have felt as a result of what someone else did. Now, I'm talking about bigger acts. I mean, I'm not saying that you're not culpable if you did something to someone else, because you are. And you can go to somebody and make apology, but it's so much more than just making apology. There's a lot to it. There are steps really to be able to forgive somebody. So I wanted to reference this very popular Hawaiian prayer called Ho'oponopono. I always stumble over the word. But I had a really amazing discussion in a mastermind group that I'm in of women entrepreneurs today about this prayer. And one of the women in my group, her aunt is from Hawaii, where this prayer originates. And it turns out it's not a prayer. Ho'oponopono is not a prayer. Hawaiian people understand it as a process. It's a process of forgiveness, which says right away what forgiveness is. And I want to just tell you briefly what Ho'oponopono, the prayer, says, or the process says. So you simply say these 4 things. The first thing you say is, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And so I had this discussion with them. I'm like, I'm not going to go to one of my abusers and say, I'm sorry, because I don't have anything to be sorry for. I'm not going to ask them to forgive me because I was a child and I was there. I went through this experience and it really, really hurt me for many years to come. So I have said thank you. Now, I do have to say this. I have said thank you, as in the experience of learning through things that people have done to me, betrayal experiences. I have been able to thank abusers who have hurt me, to thank people who have hurt me, because it helped me become a much better person than I was prior to that. It helped me to process. It helped me to get better. And I do this with my clients all the time. I help them with that. And you may not be ready to hear that, and that's okay. And you may not ever get there, and that's okay too. But this discussion that we had about this prayer or about this practice was so fascinating because I was saying I'm not going to say I'm sorry to my abuser. I didn't do anything to that person. So basically, here's what the aunt of one of my mastermind group members that I'm in as a woman entrepreneur says is that Ho'oponopono is used to cleanse you. It is to clear your thoughts that have been weighing on your mind. And these are exact words from her aunt. There's no word for sorry in Hawaiian. And so that's one of the things that my mastermind group member was questioning is like, okay, well, is there something lost in translation here? So it is for the self, which is what I've been saying for many, many years. And what I found to be true in my own work on myself and then the work I do with my clients is that forgiveness is a self-releasing process. And it's something that you do. Forgiving is for you. It releases you. It's not about releasing the other person. And the other thing that she said is that they in Hawaii they have sacred places. They have a sacred space where a person could go to when they have done wrong. So say you were one who abused someone else, and you go and you ask for forgiveness, or you go to learn forgiveness, but that you don't it's not just granted to you when you confess it. Confession is the very first step, that it's a whole process that you're going to go through, and that you have to go through the work to demonstrate that you have made the effort to change. And this is where our culture is really lacking. You need to go through the work that it takes to understand why you did what you did. What motivated you to do that thing? it's most likely unconscious and driven by past experiences and beliefs that you're holding. You may find yourself in the middle of doing something, being overly reactive about something, and you don't, yelling at your spouse or your kids or your, anybody, and you may not realize where it's coming from. When you do the work on you and you start to look at, why is it coming from that place? That's when you can transform it, and that's when you can truly change the behavior, and that's where the power is. So it is a process, and it is a process that I have been engaged in for many years, and I engage my clients in as well. There has to be a process of rehabilitation that the person has to go through to take action, to undergo a true transformation. And that's what you have to do in forgiveness. You don't just say, I'm sorry, and I'm not going to do it again, because it's likely that you will do it again until you examine why you were doing it in the first place and let it go. Healing has everything to do with letting something go, with changing the perception that you're holding about something in your life. So you want to release this from you. So when I go back and look at this prayer, Ho'oponopono, I'm looking at now, and this is how I was really looking at it before because of the work I've done with forgiveness, is that when I look at how sorry I am that I've been holding resentment towards people who've done wrong, because I know how that hurts my body. I can literally feel in my chest the resentment that I feel for abusers in my life. I don't want that. I don't want to hurt myself with that anymore. I want to let go of that resentment. And that's what I help my clients do, is to help you let go of that energy that you're holding in your system, the belief that's driving it. So the belief may be, no one loves me, no one's really here to help me, which is not a truth. It's not really true. I'm sure, someone who loves you. And the most important person for you to love is you. And that's what you're doing in this releaseness process. And I love that word, releaseness. I adopted that from Dr. Joan Borisenko, who was one of the pioneers of mind-body medicine. And she talks about releaseness. It's releasing the energy, releasing that emotion that is driving that experience of pain in your body. And we know, and if you listen to me, I talk all the time about how emotions impact the physical body, and how when you hold on to those emotions, it makes things harder for you over time. And when you keep pushing those emotions down, they have to go somewhere. They're still in there. They're waiting to wreak havoc in your life, and they will. They'll just come out in all these unconscious ways towards other people in your life. And that's where your work starts, So you can go and say, hey, I'm really sorry I blew up at you. I didn't mean to. I don't know what came over me. Have you ever heard yourself say that? I don't know what came over me. Answer that question for yourself. What came over me? What's the root cause of this? Why did it come over me? And what can I do for myself to release myself from this, so that I no longer continue doing this to other people in my life, and I no longer continue doing this to me. So I'm sorry to me. I'm sorry to my body. Please forgive me for holding on to all of this anger and pain and shame and sorrow and all of these things that are weighing me down. And, thank you, emotion and belief, for trying to protect me from having those things happen again. You can't protect yourself from having other people do what they do. Things will happen in your life. They just do. What you do have dominion over is you and your emotional life and your beliefs. And you can release those long-standing beliefs that you're holding in your body and you're holding in your body-mind. You can release that energy and let it go. And so that's why I created Whole Person Integration Technique. And there's 2 ways you can get it. You can work with me one-on-one in my program, one-on-one in my therapy practice, or if you are a practitioner or a conscious practitioner, like a health provider of some sort, If you're a coach, a therapist, a healer, or you're wanting to start a coaching practice and you're wanting to add a modality that really works to help people release and let go of the emotions and how that affects the physical body and how that can lead to illness over time, then you want to come learn whole person integration technique. And you also learn one of the most important skills you'll ever develop, and that's your intuition. Developing your intuitive abilities is one of the most important skills you could ever master, because your internal guidance system has a lot to say to you on a daily basis. And it's not going to be the voice that's telling you what's wrong with you. It's going to be the voice that's leading you to the greatest you that you can be. So it's a really powerful voice inside of you. So whole person integration technique, you can get with me. You can book a free call with me to talk about it if you feel like I've got to really release this stuff. It's in my body. I got to let it go. I need to get rid of it. I'd love to help you with that. And see if we're a good fit for each other. And if you are interested in getting certified in whole person integration technique, then please come on and talk to me about that and about evolving your intuition and evolving intuition, building self-trust for life, which is my online program and community where we work together to help hone our intuitive abilities, help to hone our empathy and our intuition, reducing empathic overload, and with my empath recovery system that is the course. And I'd love to help you with all of this. So I hope that this information will help you explore yourself a little bit better, will help you explore the connection between things that happened to you in your past and the current illnesses or persistent symptoms you may have in your body. I would love to be able to help you. So I hope this information will help you get well.